What an honor and privilege it is for me to stand before you this afternoon. You're an encouragement to me. We need ladies to help in congregational evangelism. My husband always says we are the key to create an evangelistic atmosphere. If we don't do it, no one else will. The Lord is depending on us to do our part. The foundation of congregational evangelism can be found in our 6 steps model. I want to introduce you to some of the ways that you as women can help in congregational evangelism. We all have a role to play, and we can use our talents. We can be involved from the youngest to the oldest. Where will you fit in this model? The first ingredient under contacts could be passing out invitation cards. This is something that we can all do when it comes to evangelism. In Matthew 22, 9 through 10, it reads, "Go ye therefore into the highways, and as many as ye shall find, bid to marriage. So those servants went out into the highways and gathered together all as many as they found, both bad and good, and the wedding was furnished with guests." I don't know about you, but when I go into just about any store, Walmart, grocery store, wherever it may be, I will find somebody that will just pull me aside and just love to talk to me. And I have no idea who they are. And my children will come up to me and say, "Mom, who's that?" I said, "Well, I have no idea." And they're like, "Well, you act like you've known them forever." I said, they just asked me a question, and I helped them with what I could. And so I thought, I meet these people, but it's kind of awkward when we meet people, and we don't always get their names, and we don't always get information about them. So when we were down in Lake City, Florida, they had come up with this idea of this invitation card, and you can see it on the screen. It's a business size card that we can carry with us, and they had much success with it. And so I thought, what a great idea, because how many people do we come in contact with, and as I said, we don't get that information, but if we hand them this, we can invite them to services, and then they know a little bit more about us as well. And as you can see, this is East Ridge. This is the congregation that oversees house to house, and congregations can order these through gladtidingspublishing.com, and they will customize you cards for your congregation. And we love these because, this is something our children even enjoy doing. We have them. I put a bunch in my purse. I keep them with me everywhere I go because I want to be able to invite those that I come in contact with. And so we've learned that we take them when we go out to eat, when we start building that relationship. A lot of times we're building relationships with our waiter and waitresses. And so we will leave this card on the table for them and a nice tip. And then we've had some of our ladies take them to their hairdresser, bank tellers, sales clerk, whoever we come in contact with. Just giving a little bit of talking to somebody, you can always hand them a special invitation to your services. And on the back, you will see a QR code that will immediately take them to your website, and that will give them a little bit more information about the church. And then on the bottom where it says invited by, that's very important, ladies, that you write your name there. That way, because a lot of times I don't get their names, they don't get my name. But when they come to services, they can find you because you wrote your name on that card, and they will look for you. And so these are something that we can all hand out. We've even started making cards up for our children to be able to pass out. I think they're called Kingdom Kids. And so that's another tool that we're using to invite people to our services. And all you have to do is just carry them in your purse and then hand them out, because we can all do our part. Now, Miss Karen Drenner, as many of you know, when we started attending Glencoe, it was an older congregation, and a lot of them were not in the working fields anymore. They retired, and they were very concerned. Okay, how are we going to go about getting into our communities? We're not out and about as much anymore. So they were very, very nervous, really, when they knew that we were coming. But when we heard of this, we said, well, this is something that all people can do. We all can do this. And so we got them made up for our congregation so that we could start passing them out. Well, Miss Karen knew that she wanted to do her part. And so she decided, well, she told me, Nicole, I know I needed to do this. She said, but I was a nervous wreck. She said, I went to my bank teller, and she said, and I couldn't put the card on top of my transaction. She said, I put it in between. She said, because I was so nervous about how this was going to work. And I said, well, what happened? And she said, well, I just kind of sat and watched her, and she was getting my money prepared and stuff, and she saw the card, she looked down, and she picked it up and then put it off to the side. And she said, I never really thought about it again until one Sunday morning, Miss Catherine Scott showed up to services. Miss Karen Drenner was grinning from ear to ear. I said, this must be somebody from the invitation card. And I found out it was. And we all introduced ourselves, got to know her. They started taking her out to eat, getting to know her. Started the process. Our preacher and his wife were able to start taking her out to eat. And so they were able to do those studies. But little did we know that Miss Catherine had grown up in the church, but never obeyed the gospel. When she turned 18 years old, she left the house and got married. And she always attended the denomination where her husband attended. And she told Miss Karen, she said, you know, when I saw that card, she said, I knew I needed to check you out. She said, it did not feel right all these years going to that denomination. She said, but she said, now was the time for me to come and find you. And so she did. And we're so thankful that she did. Because as you can see on the screen, she was baptized into Christ. Not only were we able to baptize her, but we were also able to baptize her daughter as well. And we are in the process right now of prospecting her husband. So we pray that through those efforts that we will someday be able to have a study with him as well. So ladies, you never know the impact that this little card can have when you go out and about and meet people. The second ingredient under contacts could be door knocking. Door knocking reaches those who are unchurched and those who we don't know. In Revelation 3:20 it reads, Behold, I stand at the door and knock. If any man hear my voice and open the door, I will come into him and will sup with him, and he with me. I realize, ladies, this is probably one of the hardest things we do when it comes to evangelism. And I'll just be honest with you, it's not my most favorite thing to do. I was not raised going door knocking. So when we first moved to Hillsboro, we did some door knocking when we lived in Poole, Kentucky. But when we moved to Hillsboro, they were very, very involved in door knocking. And so we learned a lot when we moved not too far from here. And so that's really started a lot of our training. We would not only do our home area, but we would also go to West Virginia and door knock there as well. And I can remember taking my children up those mountains and climbing all those stairs. But I'm so thankful I did. I'm so thankful that my children were able to do that, because I see now they're not scared to death to go door knocking like I am. I want to hide behind Rob when I go door knocking. He gets so mad at me. He says, Nicole, they're not going to open the door if they don't see you. I'm like, I don't want to be seen, Rob. So I'll come out and be seen. So we need you ladies when we door knock. And it's good. It's always good to have children with you as well, because that will get the door open even faster as well too. And as I said, and then they grow up, then it won't be so scary and nerve-wracking for them when they get older. One of the things that we started during COVID, when the door was shut on Foreign Mission Field, Austin Fowler, who was working with the Lambs missions, came to us and said, you know, the Foreign Mission Field has been closed. He said, but why can't we do it here in our own country? Well, Rob and I had always kind of thought about doing it, doing a campaign, but we just weren't really sure about how successful it would be in America. And so we thought, well, this is a perfect time for us to maybe start doing them here in our own country, because Rob and I had been doing several campaigns on the island of Jamaica and other places. And so we decided, okay, we're going to just try it. So our first one that we did was in 21, was in Rome, Georgia. And we had about over 100 people from all over the states come and help us do this. And so we were able to start training congregations how to door knock more effectively. And it also helped us to learn how to do it a little bit more effectively. Because one thing that we've learned through the years is it's not very effective. We can go out all day long and knock on doors, and then we may have a gospel meeting. Well, if our neighbors have no idea who our speakers are, so they're not, a lot of times, not going to come. And so we decided, well, let's try some different techniques. So during the American Mission campaigns, we've come up with 4 strategies of teaching you how to door knock. We teach you what to say and things like that when you go to the door. And because one thing that we did realize is we can't do the same things that we did in the 60s and 70s. It's not going to work today. Also, I remember when we did it in Hillsboro, it was almost like a race to see how many doors that we could knock and how many doors were open to us. But we never did get any kind of contact information from those that we were knocking the doors on. And so, but one thing that we've learned too, through all the pandemic and stuff, that people are lonely. And when you do go door knocking and you are a friendly face and they realize, hey, you're going to listen to me, you may be at that door for an hour or 2. And that's okay. Start building that relationship with them, getting to know them. Because ladies, that's who we're looking for. We're looking for that one soul who has an honest and humble heart. And so through the years, since 21, we were doing 2 a year. And until this year, last year, Rob and Alan Webster about killed me because they threw in another PTP in Branson on me. And I said, oh my, how am I going to do 2 PTPs and then 2 AMCs as well in the summer? And it was very challenging because I had just come home from PTP Branson. And 3 days later, here I was going to Hampton, Virginia to do a door knock, do an American Mission campaign there. And I thought, oh, a 9-day campaign. And so after that, I was so exhausted. I said, Rob, we're going to have to cut this down to 1 a year. And so we are only doing 1 now in June. This year it's the 21st through the 29th in Ohio. And as I said, it's a great learning experience to come and learn how to do everything that we're teaching you this weekend. You will get to do it hands-on at one of our mission campaigns. This is an excellent way for congregations to start and learn how to do it more effectively. Now, as we were in Coweta, Oklahoma, the first time we had done the seminar, but we'd come back for an advanced seminar a year later. And they really wanted us to do that, but they also wanted us to train them how to door knock, because they were under the mindset, just like everybody else, it's not going to work, and they weren't really even sure how many workers would even show up to come help us. But it was amazing. Once Rob taught them how to do it, they pretty much almost all of them showed up, didn't they? And a lot of them did. And it was an amazing day that day. And in this picture is Keno and Jamie Shrum's daughter, Madison. This is her on this side. And then on this side is her husband, Garrett. Well, they had gone out door knocking that day, and they came across this family. And they started talking to them, and they had learned that they had just moved into the area, and they were looking for a church home. And so they started talking to them, building that relationship, and invited them to services. And they came that Sunday, didn't they? They came. And the process started, and they started taking them out to eat, then into their homes. Jamie, I think, had them in her home and cooked them dinner. And the studies began. And after the third study, they both obeyed the gospel. They have 3 children?
2 children.
Oh, 2 children. And so, but ladies, if we did not knock on their door, they would not be Christians today. So never underestimate what knocking on somebody's door will do for your community. The third ingredient in the model under context could be new movers. You might think, well, what is new movers? Well, this is something that you can get involved through from house to house. And what they do is they will send you the names and addresses of all those that have recently moved into your area. Woo, y'all have a high number that move in every month. You have an average of 66. So that just kind of tells you how many every month are moving here to Smyrna. And this is a great way, ladies, because one thing that we've learned is we cannot put all our eggs in one basket to get contacts. We have got to do several different things to get contacts. And so this is an excellent way of getting contacts from your local community. And this will allow you, when you get the names of those that have moved into your area, you as ladies can come together and make a basket of something, of whatever it is that you would like, and prepare them so that when you do get those names and addresses, you will have them ready to go out with you. In your packet that I gave you is a new movers packet, basket content, and it's option 1 is a spaghetti meal, which I'm going to show you here in a minute. Option 2 is the cleaning supplies, and option 3 is household items. So these are just some of the things that we have done through the school and that has been very, very successful. Actually, I'll just tell you, I'll be honest with you, mine was the cleaning supplies, option 2. And it wasn't until, I think now, almost 2 years ago, we did a AMC in Cary, North Carolina, that we got there and they already had their baskets prepared, and they had done the spaghetti dinner, and I was like, wow, that's interesting. And wow, the results we were getting from that. People were so excited because they said, wow, we've actually got a meal. We don't even have to think about our next meal. It's right here. So I do like to give you that option. But I'll show you. This is what they had done, and it was a strainer that you can get, and then they put things in it like paper plates, napkins, plasticware, noodles, spaghetti sauce. I tried to find Parmesan cheese. I couldn't find Parmesan cheese because I always put Parmesan cheese in this, but I didn't have it. So that's also another option you can put in here. A spoon. A pasta server. I don't know what I ever want to call these, but it's not a pasta server. And then you get a gift bag like this and just put it in there. And then, of course, you ladies can make bows. Some ladies are very creative in making bows and tie them up and put a bow on it. But if not, they usually come with some kind of twisty tie or something. And you can do that so that when you go to the door, it's not so awkward. I hate going to a door, ladies, and it being an awkward moment. I like something in my hand. And so this has been something that has been very, very successful when we go to the door. Because I said they're very, very appreciative of something like that. And so now I'm going to kind of give you some of the things that the do's about this. Another thing I want to tell you is make sure that you put information about the church in that basket, because literally 5 minutes when you get down the road, they're not going to remember who you were or what congregation you were from. So there needs to be a bulletin, a house to house. Some congregations will have a packet made up like this that has all the information about the church in it. And so you can put something like that in there. A lot of times people will just put their invitation card in there. It just needs to be something that's got the church's name on it. Because as I said, a lot of these people are just truly just now moving in. And they really don't, a lot of times don't even have a lot of time to talk to you. So that's why it's important that you have that in there. We also like to put some other little useful information in there as well. Maybe gift cards to your local businesses of things that would be helpful. Maybe a dentist, a doctor that you trust. Because when they move in, they have no idea what doctors are good, dentist, a plumber, a contractor, a mechanic. Anything like that. Some congregations will go to the DMV, pick up some information about the DMV, put that in there so that they'll have that as well. So anything like that too can be very, very useful for them. Now I'm going to get into some of the do's and don'ts of the new movers because trust me, we've done them all. And we try to teach you so you don't have to go through those ups and downs of it. One of the things that we have learned is you will get the names of the people that have moved into your area. And one thing that we have learned is we do not want to go to that door and address them by their name. Reason being is they don't understand where you got that information from, and they get very offensive, and they almost turn you off, like, I don't want this, because I know you're trying to bring something to me, but I don't understand how you got that information. It doesn't go off very well. So what we encourage you to do is just say, we've recently heard you've moved into the area, and we'd like to give you this gift, and you tell them who you are and what congregation you're from as well. And I promise that will go over a whole lot smoother than addressing them by name. Also, our list may not be 100% accurate, meaning a lot of times it could send you to a piece of property where there's not a house. We were getting that complaint a lot. We were getting the complaint of, my son was one of them, said, "Mom, why am I keep being going to these homes that these people have lived there for 30 years?" I said, "Well, I don't know." And I said, "Well, just ask somebody. If that happens again, just ask them why they think they'd be going up on a new movers list." And so he finally did. He finally asked them, said, "Well, why do you think you're going up on a new movers list?" And one couple said, "Well, we did just pay off our mortgage, so maybe that was why." And that was what we started seeing more and more. That was the reasoning, that they were getting up on our new movers list. So it's not 100% accurate. We did know of a congregation down in Louisiana, and bless their hearts, they could not get their list to be accurate hardly at all. They were sending their members on these wild goose chases, and the members were getting tired of it. So they came up with the idea of, when they got the list, to comb through the list a little bit better was to get on Zillow and type in the addresses to actually see if it was a house that was actually just sold. So that has been an effective way too, to kind of go through those addresses as well. Also, do y'all have gated communities here? Okay. Be very, very careful with gated communities. Also with the no soliciting signs as well, with door knocking as well. Be careful with that, because if they've got a sign on their door, they don't really want anybody to come. And so what we encourage is, if they are in a gated community, unless somebody from the congregation lives in that area, that's a different story. But if there's not, you still want to mail something to them. So we suggest you to get a gift card to Lowe's, Home Depot, Walmart, something, even a gift card to a restaurant, and mail it to them and welcome them to the community. Now, one of the things that you will, when you're talking to those that have just recently moved in, you're looking for those that say, "Hey, we're looking for a church home." When they say that, you immediately want to bring that name and address, whoever they sent you to, bring it to whoever's going to be in charge of your prospect list. Give it to them and put them on this list. So now you as a church can start welcoming them to the community and inviting them to services as well, because they've already gotten a gift from you, and then they'll be getting some stuff from house to house as well. And then now you as a whole now will be giving them more attention. And it's been amazing the last few months how many baptisms that we are seeing now because of a result of the New Movers ministry. Another thing that we have learned is that the best day to deliver our New Movers baskets, it may vary from area to area, but the day that we have found that's most successful is Sunday afternoon, because that is when most people are home. Saturdays are hit and miss because people are so very busy on Saturdays. The evenings you can do as long as it's daylight savings time. We don't ever want to go to a door when it's dark, because that will scare people. So those are just some of the things that we have done through the years with New Movers. In this picture here, you see Hannah and my father-in-law. This was us. This was them when we were in Hampton, Virginia. And they had gone to Miss Yolanda's home to give her one of these baskets. And as you see in this picture, we were able to get a Bible study. But I want to tell you her story because it's a very, very interesting story. Hannah and my father-in-law knocked on her door. She was literally just moving into the area. And during this AMC, we had done something that we had never done before. This is the first time we had done a VBS. We normally do a community meal, but the congregation there was really wanted to try VBS. So we said, okay, we'll do it. And so when they took the basket, of course, they invited her to the VBS, and we were going to have a community meal as well. And so, but one thing that we learned from Miss Yolanda, she looked at Hannah and she said, Hannah, can you just take my phone number? She says, I want to come. She says, but I honestly, because I'm so busy moving in, I will probably not remember you coming today and inviting me or where I'm even supposed to be at. She said, can you text me tomorrow? And so Hannah texted her that very next day just to remind her that we were having the VBS and the meal, just to remind her that we wanted her to come. And she did. And she came to our meal. Hannah sat with her, got to know her, and of course she stayed for VBS. And Rob was doing teaching the adults, and he was doing the old-fashioned sheet sermons. And I'll never forget, Hannah told me, she said, Mom, she tapped on Hannah and says, Hannah, I'm ready to be baptized. And because he was doing a sheet sermon on salvation. And so Hannah got up immediately and went to the elders and said, told them about her. And they said, okay, we're going to talk to her and maybe we can get the study started. Well, they did. And so we did start the studies. And you can see Hannah was actually here for this study. This was actually a Monday after the campaign ended. We were not going home at that time. We were going to be going to down to Williamsburg, Virginia, to do another seminar. And so we were still going to be in the area. So we didn't want to make it so awkward on Yolanda to have a study with the preacher, Ben, and his wife, Patricia. She didn't really know them very well. And so we thought it might help if Hannah would be able to be there for that first study, to be the silent partner, and she was. And that really helped Yolanda because Yolanda had built that relationship with Hannah. And so after this study, we were able to take them out to eat. We all got together. They were building that relationship. She was building her relationship with them because she knew that they would be the ones that would be doing the studies with her. And after the 3 studies, she obeyed the gospel, and she is now a faithful member there of the church in Hampton, Virginia. The 4th ingredient under contacts could be doing some kind of community outreach to let your community know you care and where you are located. We should try to develop favor in our community. In Acts 2:47 it reads, praising God and having favor with all the people, and the Lord added to the church daily such as should be saved. Sometimes churches will do things like feed the first responders. They'll do back to school backpack drives. They'll do some kind of clothing giveaway. They may do a holiday dinner. There's a lot of different things that we can do to reach out to our community. But one of the things that's very, very important, and we've really missed out, I feel like, through the years, when we do these type things, we never get their information, do we? When we can give out food all day long. But if we don't get that information, it doesn't do us any good. So we encourage you to put up a table somewhere, and as they're coming in, get that information from them. And I always like to have a gift, because one thing I've learned is if you give a person a gift, they're going to be more than likely to give you their information. So that is just something that has made it a little bit more easier on people. And it's not so awkward either. And so I always like to show this picture to let you know, just have a registration table, get that information so that you can continue inviting them through the year of all the activities that you're having for the church. I know one of the biggest questions is, and the hardest things for congregations to know how much to prepare for. Well, if you go door knocking and you kind of know how many invites that you go out and invite the community, well, that's a little bit easier to have a little bit better number of how many people might show up. The one thing that we've learned is about 10% of those that you invite will show up. I know it's hard with when you do Facebook, social media, whatever. That's a little bit harder to know how many people that you're going to have. But one thing that we've learned through the years, it's going to take many invites to get the few. Whatever we do for the community, they need to know that we care about them. So this was during our AMC in Cleburne, Texas. I think 2 years ago now. I'll never forget, because usually I would always have made up 25 gifts, and we've never had any more than 25 families that have showed up. Well, Austin Fowler ran to me in a panic one day. He goes, "Nicole, you got any more of those gifts?" I said, "No, Austin, I don't have any more." "Why?" He says, we're run out, and we got all these people. And I said, "Okay, Austin." I said, "How many invites did you give to our campaigners?" He says, "I gave out over 800 invitation cards." I said, 800? He said, "Yes, why?" I said, "Well, I should have made more gifts then if you did that." Because we had never given out that many invites before. And of those 800 invites that we went out into that community in Texas, 89 showed up that evening for this meal. I was like, "Oh, there's your 10%. So it can be done, ladies, if you do kind of know how many invites you do. I will never do that again. I will always make sure to ask Austin how many invites are going out so I can have the right amount of gifts, because that is a little bit embarrassing. But of those 89 that showed up that night at our meal, 20 of them showed up this Sunday for the services. And it's been amazing from that campaign, and it was probably a couple months ago. I was reading in our Reaching the Lost. They're still having baptisms from this campaign. So ladies, little things like this, you never know the good that you will see and that will come from that. And sometimes it may take a little bit longer. Not everybody's ready. So we can't ever give up on those contacts, names that we receive. The fifth and last step under contacts could be how we treat our visitors when they come through the door. Now, normally when a visitor comes through the door, they just want to find their seat. They don't want to be just overwhelmed at the door. They don't mind to have a door greeter, that's fine. But we just don't want to just overwhelm them. Let them sit down, and what we encourage through the school is have families that are trained to know what to do when a visitor comes to the door. Now, usually what we say is when they come in, let them sit down, and then those that are trained will come and get their contact information, because how many times do our visitors come through the door and we always say, fill out that card in the pew back in front of you, or even a QR code, scan the QR code. How many times are they going to do that? They're just not going to do it, ladies. But if we give them a gift, here again, there's that gift that comes into play again. If we give them a gift, they're going to be more likely to give you that information. And so this is another great way for you ladies to get involved and assemble these bags. What we suggest is sit down with them. Don't stand up over them. Don't hover over them. People don't like to be hovered over. it's kind of awkward sitting behind them because they have to turn backwards, so their bodies are kind of stretching, and it's not very comfortable. So, you can sit in front of them, off to the side, but give them their space. That's one thing that we want to make sure that we do, and so that we can get that information from them. So in Romans 16:16, it reads, "Salute one another with a holy kiss. The churches of Christ salute you." So here, again, I make a visitor bag for all those that are visiting our congregation. And of course, on this bag, I just stencil welcome. You may have some ladies or young ladies that their talent may be to want to decorate a bag. And so there's many ways that we can do this. One month we had our children decorate our bags. And so because we want all of us to get involved. There's something that we all can do. And so I put things in it like a notebook. Now if you have a notepad with the church's name on it, put that in there. If not, just get a journal like this, similar to this or anything. And then on the back, we always like to put the name of the church on the back so they'll remember where it came from. In your packet, I do have the visitor bag content, so you'll have a list of all to remember what I put in my bag. Then, if you have an ink pen with the church's name on it, put that in there. If not, just put an ink pen in. Gum. Tissue. If you ladies know how to make the little tissue covers, do that. Anything that we can do to make these bags just have that little extra touch, they're going to be impressed with that. Hand sanitizer. Lotion. Chapstick, mints, and lastly, I like to get some kind of mug. Now, does anybody know what a cricket is? Okay, I'm seeing lots of heads. Okay, so you're probably going to know what I'm going to say. Go get the vinyl stickering, or that sublimation is actually better if you know how to sublimate. Do that and cut out the church's name. Put that on a cup, and that way they will always remember where they got their coffee mug from. And I never knew how crazy that would drive me trying to put that on, because some of these are like the lettering is really little, and then a lot of congregations have like a logo, and a lot of congregations have the tree, and then you're trying to pick out all those spots for the branches. So ladies, we need your help doing that as well. And then that way, they have a nice little gift to take home with them, and you can get their information. Because I always tell, if they are hesitant about giving you that information, I always just say, we're a card-sending congregation. And usually when you say that, they're ready to give you that information. Who doesn't want a card? And so they like that as well. Also, when we get that information, we want to make sure, there again, whoever's in charge of this gets that information so that they can be put on this list so that you can start sending them cards, thanking them for visiting and welcoming them back at the next opportunity they can. Because that's very important. We don't want to wait till next week to do it. We want to get them immediately on this list. And so you as a congregation can start sending those cards. And I'll just be honest, the number one tool that we have through the school is the cards. We get most of our conversions through the cards. And so we keep numbers. As you can tell, Rob loves numbers. And so, but that is one of the ways that we have our most conversions. When we met Perry and Ellen, they had visited us in Jacksonville, and they had come, and we went and introduced ourselves, and we realized they were from the local community, because that's who we're looking for, ladies. We're looking for those that are from our area, not those that are passing through. These are specifically for our local members, a community. And that we found out they were from our local community. So we invited them out to eat. Now, one thing that you want to learn about that too, they may not always be able to do it the first time you ask them. It may be the second time, because they may have plans. And it took us a little bit to get to be able to do that with them. But they were able to go out to eat. And another thing is, they're not going to open up to you very much here at this building. But you get them out into the public and away from here, it's like nothing is off limits. They're going to tell you their whole life story. My children have come home and said, "Whew, that was an embarrassing conversation." They said, "I think I want to get up under the table a few times." But that's just the way our society is nowadays. They're not afraid to tell you their life history. And and that's why we need to be there to listen to them. And so we're starting to build this relationship with them. And we're always looking for a common ground, as Rob said on that third question, transitional question, what do you enjoy doing? Well, it just so happened that he was a big Alabama fan. And of course, as you know, we're Tennessee fans. But we weren't going to let that get in the way. But it was the championship football game. But Alabama this year was not in the playoffs, but they were still going to watch the game. And so at this point, my children are kicking me under the table. And I'm like, I know. Dad's fixing to invite him over. Be ready. And so he did. He invited him over to the house that very next day so we could watch the game together. And I'll never forget, he looks over at Ellen and he says, "Can we do that?" Ladies, they're not used to being invited over to someone's home. And so they came over. We were getting to know them a little bit more. We learned that they had been grown up in 2 different denominations, and they've been going back and forth to these denominations, but they were tired of them getting further and further away from the Scripture, and they just wanted to go somewhere where they taught Scripture again. And so we asked them, well, what brought you to the church? Because if you know anything about Jacksonville, Alabama, it is a college town. It's not a very big town, but where the church is located, the building is located, it's right across the street from the college. Well, our locals are not going to come on that side of town because it is so busy. So we just asked them, well, what brought you to the church here? And they said, well, in 1999, when we moved to Jacksonville, we started receiving house-to-house, heart-to-heart. Ladies, it took them 21 years to ever step foot into our church building, but we're so thankful they did, because that gave us the opportunity to start studying with them. And after the 3 studies, we were able to baptize them both. And then from them, we were also able to baptize their son and daughter-in-law as well. The visitor bags helps us know who is visiting and who is a potential prospect for a Bible study. The first ingredient under prospects could be sending cards to those who are sick, someone who is dealing with cancer, someone who may have recently had surgery or needs encouragement or lost a family member. On page 106 in your Evangelism Simplified, you're going to find the list of those prospects that we're looking for. He gives you a list of 35. One thing that we have realized is, as I said earlier, not everybody's ready right now for a Bible study. You're looking for that open door for us to be able to send some cards to those that we want to reach. Now I will explain some of the ways we prospect all the contacts. In Jude 22, it reads, "And of some have compassion, making a difference." this is where we're going to need your help as well, ladies. We're going to need those names of the people that may be struggling with something in their life. And when you realize, hey, this is the right time, well, you will need to get that information as to whoever's in charge of this, so that you, as a whole congregation, can start sending them cards. Because the impact that has on so many people's lives is one, a lot of times, they're never going to forget that. Because I promise you, ladies, they're not getting this love at their denominations. The denominations have stopped doing a lot of this, and they're searching for that again. And when they're getting that attention, they're going to reach out to us and see who it is that's sending them those cards. One thing too about the cards is we don't want to mail all these cards out on Monday. We want to mail them out strategically. We want to mail out 3 to 4 cards a day. So they're regularly getting mail every day from the members of the church here. When a person receives 2 to 3 cards a day in their mailbox, it will have a positive effect. Don't ever underestimate the power of a card. When we received the phone call from Miss Tony Adams, she had just moved into Jacksonville. She'd grown up in Alabama, but when she got married, she moved to Indiana and lived in Indiana for many, many years. And her family, she lost her husband, and her family really wanted her to move back. And so she did. Well, this was right before COVID hit. COVID hit, she didn't hear high or dry from her family. They were not going to come and help her at all. And she said, I am so tired of looking at these walls. And she had received house to house and saw that we offered free transportation to our services. And so she called. And so we started picking her up. The cards started going out to her. We were able to get that first Bible study with her. And one of the things I want to tell you about her was very interesting on that Bible survey that she told us about was that during her religious experience, and one of the things was she said she was sprinkled in the Salvation Army Church. Ladies, it is a church. I knew it was, but I didn't realize that they practiced sprinkling. And so after that first study, she came down with COVID. The church did her job. We were sending cards. We were taking food. We were calling on her. Whatever Miss Tony needed, we were going to be there for her. It took her 3 months to get well, but after that 3 months, she called and she was ready to start those studies again. And we started those studies, and we were able to baptize her. And she is now a faithful member of the church there in Jacksonville. The second ingredient under prospects could be when you see a visitor come in, always invite them out to eat or have a family that is willing to cook for them and invite them over for a meal. In Luke 5:30-31, it reads, But their scribes and Pharisees murmured against his disciples, saying, Why do you eat and drink with publicans and sinners? And Jesus answering said unto them, They that are whole need not a physician, but they that are sick. Even Jesus ate with sinners and publicans, and we need to too. The impact this has on a visitor is one that they will not forget. They are not used to being invited out to eat or being invited into someone's home. It makes them feel like you truly care. What I would suggest for you ladies to do is meet and come up with a plan for those who would be willing to take a visitor out to eat or have them in your home. If you have them in your home, this is one of the things I wished I had done a little bit better when we were in full-time work. I wished I had gotten my sisters a little bit more involved to help me, because this is a lot of work on one family. Yes, I had my children to help me, and I'm very thankful for that because they love evangelism because of that. But I wish I had gotten them a little bit more involved, whether it is coming and helping clean up the dishes, maybe helping you just come clean up the house or cook the meal, whatever it is. Maybe somebody that just wants to bring a dessert over. One of the things too I want to stress in this part of this is that I'm going to talk about here in just a minute about mentors, because they get really attached to the teachers, and when you pass them over to somebody else, they kind of get their feelings hurt. Well, why do I have to go to them now? I don't know them. So it's better if you somehow can get those mentors in your home at some point so that they can start building a relationship with them as well. That was another mistake we made in this, because, as I said, these converts were very close to us, and they didn't understand why they felt like we were just sending them off to somebody else. So that's just one thing that we like to do. The more we get involved in evangelism, the more souls that we can save. When we moved to Alabama, we met John. He was one who would deliver our materials to our home. And you can see John. Boy, that's blurry, but he's in between. That's my son and Rob there, but he's right in between them. And he would do this, and Rob knew he was not a member of the church. And just one day, all of a sudden, Rob, just out of the blue, says, John's coming. I said, okay. Didn't think anything of it. He says, no, Nicole, I'm inviting him over for lunch. I said, for lunch? Well, what am I going to prepare in this short amount of time? I knew he was driving all the way up from Birmingham, but I was like, that's just an hour away, but still, what am I going to do? So in this picture, if you can see, it's takeout, ladies. I don't always cook. It's okay. I like this picture to show you I am human. Literally, I didn't have time to cook him a meal. But I'll be honest with you, he didn't care that I cooked for him. He was just so impressed that I opened my house to him and that we could eat a meal together. I even asked him, I begged him, I said, can we put it on a plate? Something other than the takeout dish? He says, nope, I like it just like that. This is just fine. I said, okay. And so we didn't know him very, very well, but we thought, well, this would be a good time for us to get to know him. But it was going to be a little bit difficult because he did live on the other side of Birmingham, which is a little bit further away than we normally have Bible studies with people with. So we weren't sure how this was going to work out. And so we started able to do those studies with him. And during that time that we were doing those studies, his mom became very sick. And so we were attending Glencoe. We put her on our prospect list. And at one point during those studies, he just called us up one Sunday morning and he says, I'm coming to Glencoe. And Rob says, well, what for? And he says, they have been so kind to my mother. He says, and I want to come and personally thank them for all those sweet cards that your members have sent to her. And we said, okay, well, come on. And he lives probably about an hour and a half from Glencoe, but he still wanted to make that trip because those cards had meant so much to her. And so that gave us an opportunity to have another study with him. And at that third study, when he realized that when his baptism was not scriptural, he was sprinkled as a baby, and realized that was not the right way to do it, we were able to take him and to baptize him. He now works for House to House. He is one of our publishers now that works with us, and very faithful Christian today there in Dalton, Georgia. If you extend some form of hospitality, they are going to be more than willing to visit again. We have used this approach many times and have had many conversions doing so. Many of our converts have said, if we did not do this, they may not be Christians today. When we open our homes or take visitors out to eat, it can lead to a potential Bible study. The most important ingredient under Bible studies could be someone who wants to be a teacher or a silent partner. In 2 Timothy 2:2 it reads, "And the things that thou hast heard of me among many witnesses, the same commit thou to faithful men, who shall be able to teach others also." I realize, ladies, we're not all going to feel comfortable in teaching, but we can be a silent partner to help with the study. The teacher needs to learn a method and become very familiar with it. At first, when I started learning how to use Back to the Bible on our mission trip to Jamaica, I was very nervous. But I knew it was time for me to step out of my comfort zone and teach the women as well. Of course, the more studies I've done, the more comfortable I've become in doing it. We definitely need more ladies to step up and become teachers and silent partners when teaching other women the gospel. I trained Hannah how to do one in Jamaica as well, and because I really wanted her to learn how to do it so she would have that confidence in herself to be able to do a Bible study as well. And I'll never forget, Sister Corinne Duncan came running to Hannah one day and says, "Hannah, we've got this girl that's been visiting the congregation here for several months, and she's ready for a Bible study. Would you be interested in teaching her?" And she said yes, and so she was able, if you've looked at those booklets, you can tell they're very easy. She was able to take her through the study, and we were able to baptize her. 2 years later, when we went back on the island, same girl came running to Hannah and says, "Hannah, I've got a friend that she wants to learn the gospel." And so Hannah was able to teach her, and she became a Christian as well. And to our knowledge, these two girls are faithful members of the church there on the island of Jamaica. We can't wait because we've got a mission trip again planned in next year. This will be their first trip back since 2020, so we're very excited about doing that again together. This is a great opportunity for mothers and daughters to work together in soul winning. My suggestion would be is to find out which ladies would want to be a teacher and who would want to be a silent partner. You never know when you may be asked to conduct one, and you will want to be prepared for when the time comes. We need ladies to be willing to teach a Bible study or one to be a silent partner. Which one will you be? The most important ingredient under new converts is weekly mentoring. In Mark 1:9-13 it reads, "And it came to pass in those days that Jesus came from Nazareth of Galilee and was baptized of John in Jordan. And straightway coming up out of the water he saw the heavens opened and the Spirit like a dove descending upon him. And there came a voice from heaven saying, Thou art my beloved Son, in whom I am well pleased. And immediately the Spirit driveth him into the wilderness, and was there in the wilderness tempted 40 days and tempted of Satan, and was there with the wild beast, and the angels ministered unto him." If Jesus was tempted after he was baptized, so will the new converts. We want them to become well-grounded so that they will remain faithful. We need ladies to help in this work as well, whether it's a husband and wife team, or maybe it's two other women that would just be interested in teaching another woman. This is so important, ladies. These converts now need us. They have all these questions, and we taught you to defer all those questions, but now is the time. We have got to take that time, and we've got to answer those questions. So we need those that feel comfortable in answering those questions. And we never want to put our new converts in an adult class, ladies. That's the biggest mistake. They are not ready for an adult class. They need a new converts class on Sunday morning and Wednesday night so that they can talk more one-on-one with you about those questions that they have. We recommend books like the Acts Workbook and Growing in Christ, and also The Beginning of Our Confidence by David Farr is another good one that we like to use as well. As I said, most new converts are not going to ask those questions in a large adult class. We never want to give up on the new convert that we've worked so hard to convert. We know that the devil will work very hard to get them back. We have those who are designated to be our keepers. And one of the things as I said, not only do we want to have their class when they come to services, but we also want to have mentors through the week that can also be mentoring them as well. What we encourage you to get together with them once a week, have a study, maybe go out to eat, whatever. Keep building that relationship with them. This will help them build close friendships with you. The more they're connected with you, the less likely they're going to leave the church. We have had much success with our converts remaining faithful when we have people assigned to be keepers. In summary, there are 9 ingredients to bringing souls to Christ. We can pass out invitation cards, we can knock doors, make and deliver new movers baskets, do some kind of community outreach, hand out visitor bags, sending cards to those in our community, take the visitors out to eat or have them in your home, teach a study or be the silent partner, or lastly, keep the saved safe. I hope and pray that these things will help you in your congregational evangelism. I know, ladies, I've just thrown out a bunch of information, but I do this. The reason I do this class is to just give you kind of an idea of what's going to be happening if the elders go forward with this. That way you will kind of be prepared, because we all can do something when it comes to evangelism. So be patient with the elders, because this does take some time to get this rolled out. They will be getting the curriculum today, so which really has helped because they can do it step by step, and it's been more effective when we got the curriculum. And so if you ever have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me or Rob, and we will help you in any way that we can. And we just so appreciate that you allowed us to be here these last couple of days. I know it's been a long 2 days. I know you're tired, but thank you so much for allowing us this opportunity this weekend.